Well, hi, good morning. Thanks for coming and joining me here in my shop. Today is, oh my gosh, September 5th. September 5th. And I'm a little excited today because I just finished reading a very nice email from a fellow in Brazil. His name is Mauro. He told me a little about himself. He lives in a city of 35,000. I live in a city of 35,000. He has a shop, but just like mine, I guess, kind of the same equipment in it. And his city is on the edge of a lake. Well, I live on the edge of a lake too. How do you like that? So Mauro tells me he's doing the same stuff. He's working on an FM receiver, and he's finding it very challenging. Of course, I think anybody who doesn't do this work every day, that's me. I do this work every day. I don't fit into this category. But if you are a professional worker in a professional environment with other, technicians and engineers around, you can get through this stuff much easier. If you're alone, working in your shop like I am, it's a whole different story. Now I'm lucky because I put this stuff on video. People regularly send me emails where they're trying to save me from myself, and often they are saving me from myself. So thank you again, Mauro. I feel much better knowing that I have a kind of like a brother in Brazil, and I'm sure there's many more, including maybe you. Have a shop of some sort and you work away on radios too, and you get a kick out of watching me struggle. The great thing about this is, and I've received emails from quite a few people saying they thank me for showing all the nonsense that can go on and all the problems and all the mistakes and the struggle, because it makes them feel a lot better about their own struggles, because this is kind of lonely work for most people. It's very lonely. You're sitting in your shop, your head is coming apart, you're all alone with it. And trying to keep the steam up is pretty challenging. So I'm all charged up. Now let's talk about what's in front of me here. Periodically while I've been doing the work, of course, I check the receiver to see if it's receiving, and each time the receiving hasn't been very good at all. I'm really quite concerned that it's indicating a deeper problem in the receiver. I really don't want to start fooling around with transistors and all that kind of stuff, but a birdie flew in my ear last night and said to me, maybe the test circuit that I have soldered in here is interfering with the operation of the radio further on, so that's why it sounds the way it sounds. So I think one of the first things I'm going to do is take that circuit off and see what happens. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is correct the IF transformer in the FM tuner box, because I just monkeyed with it yesterday and I left it out of sorts. I'm going to try to max it out as best I can. Then I will remove the little test circuit, at least disconnect it from the radio so it's not influencing it, and we'll see if the radio doesn't just come right to life after that. Boy, that would be great. Another thing is I discovered yesterday, that the sweep generator doesn't seem to have the sweep range that it claims to have. And exactly why that is, I don't know. I think the claim is 60 megacycles maximum sweep at the top range of the sweep generator, and I'm only getting 20 megahertz now. Why that is, I don't know, but that's something I want to look at too. But let's start with, let's just leave the I'll deal with this when I have to. For now, let's just get back to finding out if this receiver actually works better than I realized. So we need to complete the alignment effort on the IF transformer. That's right. I got to get some stuff set up. For this kind of work, I have to let equipment warm up a little bit too, so it's stabilized. So I think I'll do that. I can get my cup of coffee. Brazilian coffee. Okay, let's get going now. I'm going to be using the signal simulator. That's this guy right here. He puts out a signal at 100 megahertz. That's all it does. It can't be tuned. It has a small fine adjustment, but I checked with this radio. It's dead on 100 right now. So we know that. The trick now is to tune this radio to 100. Even in the condition it's in, and know it's tuned properly before trying to finish off this little alignment deal with the IF transformer Okay. Turn on the radio. $120 volts. Okay, let's turn up a bit here. Now, the last thing I was doing was trying to listen with the antenna. I should have actually started the video a bit quick here. Get rid of the antenna. On the signal generator signal again. If you ever have this problem, okay, and you try to fit this back on, here's what I do. Pinch this down, then I grab it really hard, really hard. You can't be slow about this. As long as you grab it really hard, it won't rip your skin off. Okay, that's how I do that. Okay, now, remember I had to tighten these up to get things nice and stable. Okay. Now turn up the volume here. Right now the FM generator is generating a 1000 hertz tone in mono. The 19 kilohertz pilot is switched off, so this thing cannot do stereo. Let's see if we can tune this in now. Oh yeah, very easy. So I usually recognize an FM signal as having three little, like a little peak, and then you get the real McCoy, and you get the little peak every time you tune through an FM station. So that's what I'm always looking for. I think I heard it here. Let's go back through it. One. Yeah. Well. It's weird, eh? That's like when I was doing the alignment. There seemed to be a spot where you got the best response from instruments, but the sound didn't sound very good. It sounded like this, shrill and sharp. Oh boy. Which is the real one? Actually, what I hear is two humps. Let me go through it again. Yeah, it's like a one hump, then you get that shrill, then you get the other hump. Maybe the shrill is the center. We're going to go for the shrill, only because of the symmetry of it. And what else should I do? Okay, so now the receiver is receiving the signal from there just as it should, supposedly. Any adjustment I make is valid, I guess would be the word for it. Okay, so let's go after that transformer. Now, wait, now there's rules about this primary slug, secondary slug. The primary slug can have an effect on the frequency. I don't know which one's the primary and which one's the secondary. Upper or downer? Upper or downer, yeah. Upper or lower. I'm just going to have to wing it here. Okay, I'm not using any instruments either. Shame on me. We need an instrument here to recognize the level. So I'm going to put my meter here. I got it all ready to go almost. I'm going to attach it same place the scope and disconnect the scope. No effect. No effect. That's that little circuit that I built. Okay, so we want to watch the voltmeter here. Almost no voltage there. Yeah, there's no voltage on the screen. There we are. This is just barely off the zero here. Well, I could feed more RF in. The higher the level of RF coming in, the bigger the chance that I've overloaded something without knowing it. So right now it's a very low level of RF. Well, you know what? It's just a tiny little meter reading, but I can still see it. You might not be able to see it, but I can see it. Let's see what happens. Maybe I can get it up. Yeah. It's often a male concern, but let's see. We're going to go to the lower slug only because I don't know why, but just have the feeling today that. Okay, starting on the lower slug, watching that meter. Hot diggity dog, look at that. Of course, this is out of whack. I left it way out of whack. So that really peaked it up. Turn down the volume. I will do the upper slug. So that's interesting. Now the upper slug appeared to be right on the money. Is that because I simply made the lower slug in a position where it works best with the upper slug where it is? If I move the upper slug, I find another spot for the lower slug? Well, let's experiment. I'm going to turn this down a little bit, and I'm going to go on the lower slug and see if I can get it back. Not really. The lower slug is showing a peak at the same point. So maybe what I did yesterday was I left the upper slug in the right spot and I whacked out the lower one, and that's how I left it. So we'll just go like that. Got my hand kind of in front of the meter. Okay, lower slug once more. Down you go. Now, when I first started working on this receiver and discovered the stuck slug, I thought, oh, that's the end of that. We'll never be able to know anything about it, but there we are. Upper slug again. Okay, it doesn't get any better than that. Thumbs up on that. Okay, so we have the transformer aligned. I have not done any of the other adjustments on the tuner because I'm wise enough to leave it well enough alone until I think for sure there's a problem. The transformer, it's a low risk thing to fool around with, and often an important component in the scheme of things, I have found. Okay, so now we've done the IF alignment. What I just did well, we're basing it on the output of the IF. The IF's tuned to 10.7, so there's no problem here. Time to remove this circuit from the radio and see if the radio actually works. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to do that. Next time we'll have the antenna connected. Okay, so the circuit is still sitting here, but I've disconnected it, the signal part of it. So it's doing nothing now. And I've got the antenna connected. I've got the antenna sitting over here, probably inappropriately oriented. Turn the volume down. I'm anticipating a big. Okay, so radio's tuned to 100. There's a station not far from 100. Here we go. Loads of volume. Look, it's picking up the signal generator. Loads of volume. Oh my gosh, that's what's been going on all this time. Okay, let's tune it before I get too excited.
Your name and cast out demons in your name and do mighty works in your name.
That's good volume.
Depart from me, you workers, lawlessness. The Greek word for lawlessness there is the word anomian. And that's, of course, the word from which we get our English word antinomian. So the devil will always be pushing a defective version of Christianity that is all about believing in Jesus.
Yes, this is a religious broadcast station here on FM near Aurelia. To hear the disappointment in my voice.
Peter says, because that's an actual heresy. These people are out there, and they're making lots of money off of silly Christians who ought to know better. They're doing...
Okay, if you say so. Let's go see what else we can find here. Now, if there's music, you can only hang on it for just a few seconds. So the radio really works at 100, where I tuned it. What happened to so that station we were listening to very close to 100? Where's everybody else? Incorrectly aimed antenna. Incorrectly aimed antenna. Really weird looking antenna. Let me extend it here.
and we can definitely help you out with that.
Let's go.
Hey, Pure Country to work with you.
Pure Country 106.
You're gonna park that truck.
You're gonna park that truck. Sounds good.
Interim, before the final judgment, punishments and preservations will often happen simultaneously. Think of the flood. The same
Oh, here's that signal generator.
from Johnson Bay and the Carlton. Everyone remember water on the water, beer on the pier. Call McLaren Equipment for a new John Deere.
Hi, this is Scott Dallimore of Sandy Cove Marine Services. We are fully stocked with all your boating needs. All your service parts and accessories for Mercury, Mercruiser, and Volvo. For fun on the water, we have a huge selection of water sports, towboats,
Balance.
skis, wake surf, lily pads, and more. Your one-stop shop for all your summer fun with a full service department to keep your boat running safe on the water. Living the dream at Sandy Cove
good.
Marine Services, 25th Side Road, Innisfil. Call
Don't.
705-431-BOAT.
Sign up for a
Treble up
Gesto
full.
and save 10% for the first 6
Bass.
months. Visit DesjardinAgents.com today for a quote. Conditions apply. Wouldn't it be great to have your own
Well,
gym?
I'll be.
You could get up,
Hey,
work
wouldn't it be
out,
great to
get
have
the
your own
shower,
gym?
and start your day
I'm right here.
without wasting time driving to
I
the
am
gym,
my own gym.
waiting for equipment, and dodging other people's sweat. Gym Concepts can make that happen real easy. They're experts in equipment,
meter.
flooring, and setup. Super chill to deal with and priced better than you may think.
Watch
Let
that
Gym
meter.
Concepts create a personal gym for your home or cottage. And never miss a workout.
Hardly moves. Goes well.
Is just getting started, and Lowe's has everything you need to keep your projects going for less during a rain. Like adding a fresh touch of color to your home with 1-gallon cans of
Well, you would kind of hope it would swing a little higher, but it is operating properly.
That's $10 off.
Well, that's a really good news there. Wow, okay. Thank you, Birdie, for pointing out what I hadn't realized yet. So what's happened here now is I've ensured the... Turn it down a little bit here. I've ensured the IF is tuned to 10.5. I've at this point anyway, the IF transformer is tuned properly. It could well have been tuned properly right from the start, and I may have just messed it up. The stuck slug thing was a bit of a problem that we've overcome. What's next? Next is some complex alignment that is related to the fact that this is a stereo receiver. That's a lot. So I do have the equipment here to do it in a couple of different ways. The instructions include a couple different ways to approach this. I am going to go and study up on it. Yeah, here's what's actually here. The next stage here. Adjust primary for maximum symmetrical response of S curve. 10.7 megahertz marker centered. Adjust secondary for optimum straightness. And then right after that comes a whole whack of multiplex alignment stuff. So there's lots to do here yet. Generally speaking, a receiver of this vintage shouldn't be far out when it comes to these alignment issues. It shouldn't. But there is some drift in the components, and in particular there's one a small electrolytic capacitor that's in the detector circuit of these FM radios that I always change because it is so critical that that little capacitor be doing the right thing. Or stuff like my own FM receivers in my house. When you tune it for best sound, the meter that should be centered for best sound is usually off to the right. And I have two meters on my stereo, and the signal strength is not at max. I'm sorry. Get the signal strength at max. The center one is off to the right a little bit. So I have to play around and kind of get an acceptable spot. And I believe that's all just alignment that has drifted in my receivers. I have 2 vintage FM receivers I use every day, and they all need to come in here and get treated, and I probably will at some point. So to do the next part, I got to read up. I got to think carefully about it. I mean, good right here. Maybe I should just stop right here. Maybe I should check the stereo functions of it before doing alignment. Yes, I will, because I have to kind of set up for that anyway. I'll be able to check the stereo functions properly, make sure left channel is working, right channel, all that stuff, or at least make an assessment before going ahead and twiddling a bunch of stuff. Sounds like a good idea to me. We'll do that. Maybe we'll do that next. We'll assess the stereo side of this thing, and that'll be the end of the video, I think. Maybe that'll be it. Hey, who knows? Coffee time here again. Okay, I think we're ready to go now. The objective at this point is just to see if it's producing stereo. Is it flipping into stereo mode so it can demodulate the stereo signal, or is it not? Is the stereo light coming on the front? Is it barely working? Is it getting noisy when it flips into stereo? All those questions. So we're looking at my stereo signal simulator, and my experience with this instrument is limited. Maybe I've done 5 or 6 FM radios with it, so I may stumble around a bit, but nothing new in that. So a couple of controls here that exist. This is one of the main controls, this one here. This one sets the deviation of the signal. So I believe, I have to read this to be absolutely sure, but my memory says FM signals, commercial FM signals have a deviation of 75 kilohertz, I believe. 75 kilohertz, this meter in certain settings will read the deviation. See it go up and down there? So I can set this to 75. That's now basically providing a commercial, similar to a commercial station, I guess I could say. Next thing is the 19 kilohertz carrier. So I don't know if you know this or not, you may not, but FM signals really send 4 things out in an FM signal. 2 of them are the left and right. One is a synchronization signal. I can't do it. Signal, yeah. Can't synchronize my fingers. This one here with a ring on it. That's a synchronization signal. That's 19 kilohertz. And the last one is a secret little signal called SCA that very few people know about. It's another whole program being sent. Yeah, along with this, there's another program. But a receiver like this can't receive this. Doesn't know about it. You have to buy a special receiver called an SCA receiver, and you stick it on top of your elevator and you tune in this station, but you don't hear what comes out of this radio, you hear what comes out of here. And what is it? Muzak. Remember Muzak from years ago? That's how Muzak was done. I guess Muzak would make a deal with a radio station that's doing this, and it would send out this, because this wasn't being used necessarily. So they would send out SCA, Sub-Carrier Administration. Is what it's. That's a stupid name, isn't it? Sub-Carrier Administration. All those things are potentially present. Of course, only the first 3 are really of interest, and what I'm talking about is the ring finger one, the 19 kilohertz. What a receiver does with that is it picks up the 19 kilohertz coming from the station, so the station can send the 19 kilohertz, coordinated with the 2 signals. It's coming from the station. So when the 19 comes into a radio like this, the radio uses the 19 to create a 38 kilohertz signal. Now it has a 38 kilohertz signal in it. It then uses that, and there's a couple ways of looking at this. I'm going to tell it the easy way to understand it. It uses the 38 kilohertz to switch the output of the receiver from speaker to speaker 38,000 times a second. So what's really coming out of each speaker is just a moment of sound. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. That's one way of looking at it. There's another whole way of looking at it where one channel is raised up on a subcarrier, but that's much harder to talk about here in a video. So the 38 kilohertz is basically setting up a switch, switching between speakers, so the signal which is coming in, It's coming in with a left and a right and a left and a right piece of the signal. It can grab the right pieces and send them to the right speaker. That's just a way of looking at it. There's another way of looking at this. I'm telling you, probably a much more technically helpful way of looking at it is the subcarrier thing. So you might say, well, that's interesting. Now, if you're sending, like this receiver and other radios, like my little radio, it doesn't do stereo. What happens when you send it a stereo signal? How can it, like, what does it do? I won't get into the details of it, but the clever thing that was done was the implementation of stereo was done in such a way that mono radios would still receive mono signals with both channels combined together. And nobody had to run out and change all of their radios when stereo started coming around, because you can't listen to those stereo stations on a mono radio. Yes, you can. Television, very similar in North America. Very impressive, right? A whole black and white system set up, thousands, hundreds, millions of TVs in people's homes, all that camera equipment, studio expense, all that stuff sitting there. And then somebody says, well, why don't we go to color? Another entire different system. So you'd have to have two TVs in your house, a black and white TV and a color TV, for about 10 years while things were transitioning. But some clever guy came up with how you could incorporate the color information in a black and white signal, not affect the existing black and white TVs, and yet have that color information, color stuff there for the new color TVs coming along. It's just fantastic. The people who think this stuff up, we owe them all a ton. In fact, we owe a ton of people a ton of stuff, don't we? And people who have been dead for even hundreds of years, we owe them a lot. My gosh. Okay, so I've talked about the 19 kilohertz. So I have controls here. I can turn it on and turn it off, and I can set its level here with this. So it's off right now. I'm going to turn it on like that. Now this thing is transmitting. I noticed this control went up a little bit. Now let's just back it down. Right around 75. So now it's sending out, not quite yet. I have to flip this control to either stereo left or stereo right. So we're going to flip it. We're going to turn it on here. Turn up the sound. What do we hear? What's happening? Got to tune it in. Tune it in. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Unfortunately, the FM signal strength coming out of here is a little high. I've got it turned down as far as it'll go, but I still think it's a little high. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tune. I'm going to turn this off. There's no chance of stereo being involved. And we're just sending a mono signal, about 1,000 hertz as you can hear it. I'm going to tune through the station, just tune across and tune back and listen to what it sounds like. Let me get off it. Okay, so now I'm going to tune through it. Just listen. That didn't sound very symmetrical, did it? It sounded like it kind of came up and then woo, did this thing. Let me go back. Okay, so what I heard that time was I heard a shrill sound and then a kind of a level and then a shrill sound. That's kind of what I heard. Now I'm going to go back through it again, the other way. That's very odd. It doesn't sound the same going one way or the other. I'm going to come back, because again I heard this. Let's go back the other way. Well, that way, somebody explain to me why this would sound different going in two different directions. Okay, I will attempt to tune this to where I think it's absolutely in the middle. Actually, I go back and forth quickly, you know, and you hear shrill, then you hear nice, then you hear shrill. No, you don't. You hear, in one direction you hear choo choo, and in the other direction you hear choo choo. No, you don't. Didn't say it right. Let's try it again. Choo choo choo. Here's the choo choo, and then here's the choo. If might be better if you watch my hand here too at the same time. Let's try it one more time. Choo choo. Choo. Now, isn't that the weirdest thing? I think that's the weirdest thing. Is that because of automatic frequency control? Is there such a thing in here? Is there a button for it? Is it on? Is it doing that? AFC. Right there. Contour. AFC. Okay, let's see. Is that what's doing it? Now, is it even on? It would appear to have not been on. So now I have it on. Let's do that tuning thing again, since I... Okay, now this is the direction that gives you the one hump. That's interesting. So to me, what we heard there was the radio hanging on in the center area of the station, hanging on through AFC, and at the last minute letting go and getting a sharp shoo as it let go. Seems to me the FM's working. Now that was a chew. Let's go back the other way now. Choo choo. Is it possible that because there's mechanics moving, it maybe, I don't know how to show this. In one direction, the slack in the system is in one position, and when you're going the other way, the slack has moved to another spot, and this is causing kind of an alignment effect, if you like. There is a lot of play in this FM dial. Let's just take a look at this. So I think you watch my hand turning the dial and watch the wheel operate here. I don't see anything moving. Do you see anything moving? Let me get it on the signal. Okay, it's on the signal. See, I'm able to move this. You hear lots of mechanics happening. You can see the play right in here. Am I showing that on camera? This is kind of an odd arrangement here. It's got gears. What is that? There's play there. That's a really weird looking thing. I can see it better in the camera than I can see it. Let me turn this down here. I'm just kind of whacking out my ears. What is that exactly? The one wheel is geared. It must be geared into something. Oh, it's geared into the knob that I'm turning. Of course, I'm turning it this way. So there's a gearing in there. There's no play in the gears. The gears drive the yellow. And the yellow drives the pointer. And there are a bunch of coils down there. Oh no, those are the push buttons that I'm seeing down there. So I think there's no tuning in here. This is just mechanics to operate the pointer. Oh my gosh, how complicated can this get, eh? Let me just get a better hold of my camera here. Okay. So then that yellow thing is supposed to be driving the wheel. But there's huge play in it. Maybe this is the AFC. Poor man's AFC. You have to go quite a distance to start it engaging. What is it actually engaging with in there? There's a metal plate, a rubber tire, a geared wheel. What is the metal plate doing in there? And so I think it's just supposed to be through the shaft. The center of the yellow piece with the teeth. You can see a large center area. I think this is the shaft going through. The bottom line is I don't think I can do anything about it. I don't think anything's really loose. There's just sloppy play in there. It's not terribly important. If it were a shortwave radio, that would drive somebody nuts trying to use a shortwave radio that was like that. what's going to happen here is somebody's going to tune in an FM station, they're going to work the control until they're happy, and then they're going to walk away and dance and not worry about the play and the control. So I'm not going to worry about it either. Don't think there's anything wrong. I wonder if that play was part of why I couldn't get it to 108 and then suddenly I could. How loose is this? So when I move this wheel, I can see the pointer moves immediately. You know what? I can do this. Look at this again. I don't think there's anything here for me to fix, but you never really know. See if I can get it on camera here. Okay, so it's not. There we go. Okay, looking at the yellow piece and the black tire, you can see kind of behind this bracket. Well, I'm going to turn the wheel. I'm holding the knob. You can't quite see the knob. Well, you can never see the knob because I'm never on camera. So I'm going to turn the wheel. I'm holding this still. If it turns, I will tell you. Now I'm able to do this. And the front knob's not turning at all. And look, you can hear if there's enough play in there to affect the signal. The play is in the knob. There's a lot. There's a lot of play. Was that an attempt at a fine-tuning thing? I don't think so. Well, again, I don't think there's anything I can do about it. It's just good to be fully aware of these things. I mean, it's not that interesting. Tune it one way, tune it the other way, get a different result. As an ordinary operator of this, like using it in a home, well, what would it matter? But here in the shop during alignment stuff, maybe that's something you need to be aware of, that the receiver has this characteristic. Okay, so enough of all that. Left channel, right channel. Okay. Is it really tuned? Now, fooling around here. Yeah, tune it this way. Actually, this is awkward. It's easier when you use the knob. Okay, turn off the AFC for sure. We can't have that on. A little more volume, please. That be tuned. You want to do it very carefully. So now I'm going to flip the signal. Oh, there is a stereo indicator light here. This is a little hard to get on camera, but let's try it. If we can't, it's down under here. Oh, down under. It's down under this light. Let's get rid of this light. There. Watch for the light to come on down here as I fiddle around with the 19 kilohertz. So first 19 kilohertz turned on, but the level is very low. No surprise, not there. Turning up to 19. Well, man, flipping this on to stereo left. Did the light come on? The light did not. I believe I'm hearing mono from both speakers. Now I'm going to raise the level of the 19 kilohertz and see if we can make the light come on. There we go. Anybody coming on? Guess I got it full. Ain't nothing there. Now we'll tune the radio a little bit. Actually, I'm going to tune the signal generator because the frequency control market has a fine adjustment around 100. This is a better way to do it. Does the light come on? No, it does not. I'm going to raise the signal level output way up. Okay, so now the RF output of this, my signal. Oh, the light did come on. The light has come on. Okay, let's reduce the 19 kilohertz. The light goes out. Okay, so that looks like it's asking for a really strong signal. So let's turn the light on. Okay, now I'm sending it left channel only. Yeah, turn the volume up here. Wow. Okay, now I'm going to flip it to right channel. Wow, I didn't hear much change there. And this is tricky to do in a shop with speakers the way they are. Turn it down just a wee bit. Let me stick my head right between the speakers here and flip it from left channel to right channel. The light is still on? Yes, the light is on. Well, I'd say there's zero stereo separation there. As I did that, it's just keeps coming out of both speakers. That's strange. If it turns this light on, it should probably be producing stereo. But it may not. Separate circuits. So let's crank it all up full blast here. It is pretty well. It is. It's full blast. I got maximum 19 carrier level. And one thing I don't have is I don't have the deviation as high as it could be. Let's go up a little higher. Now let me try left channel, right channel. Oops. Now I do have a stereo microphone in my shop. You're listening to me mostly through this. I usually keep this other one on also. This one's supplying a signal to both channels. This is the stereo one here. It's a left and a right in this microphone. I try to keep it hanging, you know, left and right. Left may not be left, but see, the stereo's there, the microphone's there. I got the speaker here and the other speaker there. So there's a chance you can hear the same stereo effects I'm hearing. It's kind of remote. And what stereo effects am I hearing? Very little. There's definitely a change when I flip from left channel to right channel, but it's not clearly going from left channel to right channel. So that strongly indicates that there's some issues with aligning the radio. The last thing we're going to do, I'm going to put the antenna back on, and we're going to try to make the stereo light. Try to watch for the stereo light coming on with a regular radio station. That's another important thing to do. Okay, I'm going to stop the video while I get that set up. Okay, I have the volume down, I have the antenna on. I see the stereo light is still on. Is that because even though I've disconnected my signal generator, it's close enough? So I'm going to switch off the signal generator here. Oh yeah, so you know what? I just turned down the 19 kilohertz. Oh, turn it back up. Yeah. So that was just kind of a signal floating through the air in my shop getting onto the antenna for this. That's gone now. So anything that's happening is happening because of a radio station. Volume up. All the stations are stereo, I'm pretty sure, except for the CBC. So any one of these should be able to turn that light on. It's got to be pretty strong though. You just want one of these to work. It would be good. Okay, this is a pretty good signal. Distorted, eh? Oh, here we are. So I can use the meter.
Stereo.
Oh, the whiplash in this thing is terrible.
But it can be hard to ask for help. What? You're not alone. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you. With Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada.
Oh,
we are one of
more
the
debt.
largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country, with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. We can help you consolidate your
The
bills
S's
into
don't sound
one
very good.
affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-656-7129. That's 1-800-656-7129.
See, what I'm doing here is not affecting the radio at all. It's not doing anything. It's moving the pointer. It's not moving the wheel over here. So it is a little bit.
Make the call today. Toll free at 1-800-656-7129.
Not the greatest sound there. Let's go further up. Did one turn on the light? Was I all excited about that? No, I don't think one's turned on the light yet.
Neil Young, Rock Out the Free World on Bounce Radio.
Neil Young. Very hard to get rid of the distortion there. I think that's it for strong stations, except that religious one is pretty strong, but I don't know if it's stereo. End of the road. Nobody's turning on the stereo light. Okay, I think that's it for today. So what we've determined here is the radio is essentially working. It has the ability to produce stereo. It is out of alignment. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to find out. And then if I go through the alignment sequence for the multiplexer and other things, including getting an S-curve on the scope, all this interesting stuff, we should probably be able to make the radio sensitive enough to flip into stereo like it should and operate like it should. And so in other words, I don't think it's necessarily a component problem. Really got to do the adjustments first and see if I can't make everything work that way before thinking there's a component issue in here again. That's great. Kind of boring looking at the side of it, but well, thanks a lot for watching my video today, and it's another nice day outside. I'm heading out there. See ya.